Okay, so this is a good question. What differentiates tactical combat experience from just combat experience? Nothing. I was talking about tactics and operations planning and how I didn't think you'd have to say this in 2025, but you should be listening to people with tactical military experience about military operations, right? You should not be listening to Jodi Picoult talking about the Insurrection Act or martial law and then showing up and mill-splaining people who do have military experience about it. You should be listening to the people with tactical military experience. So let me explain what this means. So in the military, you have tactical level, which is the brigade on down, about, it can be like 3,000 to 5,000 people on down, right? So you have brigade, battalion, companies, teams. And then you have strategic, which is division level, corps level, Pentagon, right? So anyone who has combat experience has tactical experience. But when I say you should be listening to people with tactical operations experience, I basically mean you should be listening to people who were involved in operations planning. And bros want to show up and be like, oh, you were the intelligence. Yes, the intelligence officer actually knows the most about tactics because we're involved in the operations planning and we're very familiar with the tactics of our guys. And then we are the experts on the tactics of the enemy. So almost any intelligence officer who was at a battalion or a brigade level is going to have a very good understanding of military tactics, especially if they deployed twice. Way I have an additional level here because I was an aviation intelligence officer, which means you have to understand air operations and you really have to understand ground operations because one, that's what we're supporting, and two, that's usually where they're pew-pewing you from. Okay, and then three, we had infantry. Yeah, because airplanes fall out of the sky, helicopters, and then specialized infantry has to go respond to that. And then the rest of the time, they're used as regular infantry. And I was one of the first women to be put onto a deliberate ground combat team in the U.S. Army. I wrote all about it in my book, Uncultured, about growing up in the Children of God religious cult and going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get signed copies attached here. So I do also have the on the ground tactical combat experience as well. But to make it very clear, every Joe, we call them, or grunt that has been out doing infantry patrols, not going to understand tactics and operations. Every military officer, not going to understand strategy at a high level unless they've worked up at those levels or been through some of the field officers courses. When you're major and higher, you go study strategy. I did not do that, right? I don't know very much about military strategy at a high level. I do know a lot about operational tactics at a battalion and brigade level. So this is how that kind of works. You always want to know, as with any expert, who you're listening to and where their expertise comes from, especially in today's world. Have a day. Captain Mestenek out.